All right, did you see this? It's the talk of the world. The British Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, losing a majority in Parliament as he was speaking when one of his own members walked across the aisle to the opposition. You're going to see this a few seconds into this video from the House of Commons. Take a look.
Britain is on the verge, Mr. Speaker, of taking back control of our trade policy and restoring our independent seat in the WTO for the first time in 46 years. Our exports to the United States. I wish my honourable friend all the best.
Order. Resume your seat. Thank you, Prime Minister.
Order. Well, there was no order because this guy just literally walked across. It was kind of hard to see. We got a late feed of it. But Philip Lee defecting to the Liberal Democrats in the House of Commons because he had it with the Prime Minister's approach to Brexit, deal or no deal. He wants out by the end of October. The former advisor to Maggie Thatcher, Nile Gardiner, on the significance of what happened today. What do you think, Niall? I mean, I know there were some ruffled feathers within the Conservative party here, but was this expected?
Yes, very unfortunate, of course, this particular MP, I think, acting in a very disrespectful manner, crossing the floor of the chamber of the House of Commons while the Prime Minister was issuing his statement. So rather, poor form from this MP who defected here. And of course, the Conservative government now has lost its majority. But the reality is that Britain is still heading towards Brexit on October the 31st. The government is still determined to implement that. There is a brewing rebellion within Parliament against the idea of a no-deal Brexit. There will be a big vote likely tomorrow on this. But the Prime Minister, I think, is absolutely right here that the will of the British people must prevail. The British people voted to leave the European Union in June 2016. 17.4 million Britons voted for that. And this government is committed to delivering the democratic will of the British people. This is really about implementing democracy in practice. It's very unfortunate that you do have, of course, the opposition Labour Party trying to derail Brexit, but also you have a number of rebels within the Conservative Party.
How many more do you think there are? I know Rory Stewart, who is a Tory rebel and part of the leadership candidate team that was interested in getting the job, I guess, that Johnson has. He said that no deal is not the answer to anything. In other words, there's a view among Conservatives as well that by not changing the arrangement now to get out, it's going to be Britain that'll pay the price. What do you think of that?
Well, I think Boris Johnson has made it clear that he does seek a deal with the European Union, but it's going to be very difficult to get a deal that is acceptable to the British government. After all, the EU has been behaving in an extremely dangerous, reckless fashion over the last few years, trying to prevent Brexit altogether, trying to make it as difficult as possible, really, for Britain to leave the EU with a deal. They've been treating the negotiations as a punishment beating. And as Johnson makes clear, Britain will leave deal or no deal on October the 31st. And it's up to the EU to make concessions that are acceptable to the British people. So far, but the EU hasn't been offering those
push for an election is to stave off something, to put the heat on, I guess, fellow Conservatives, right?
Yes, and I think that there's a very real prospect now of a general election in order to deliver Brexit. I think that Johnson has made that abundantly clear. He's prepared to go down the path of a general election here.
Has that ever happened before?
If there is
I'm sorry. Has that ever happened before, maybe in the days working for Maggie Thatcher, where someone within her own party just hops across and goes to the other, or vice versa?
Well, there are always defections under any prime minister, and of course there are many MPs in Margaret Thatcher's own party who who knifed her in the back.
Absolutely.
And we're seeing some MPs today in the Conservative Party who are trying to knife Boris Johnson in the back, and they're trying to derail Brexit. They're trying to derail democracy. They're trying to prevent the will of the British people here, and it's very, very distasteful behaviour from these Conservative rebels.
All right, maybe a preview of coming attractions. Thank you very, very much, my friend. Again, you don't see this sort of thing all the time. Philip Lee, the Conservative MP, literally walking over to the other side to say, this guy isn't getting anything done, I'm going with the other guys. That's what they meant by order, order, which makes it riveting to watch them. Not so riveting sometimes to watch us. More after this.